Hi, I'm Tony, and this is the service talk. My service journey here at Bellarmine has been quite unique. At my middle school, we were rarely ever told to do community service, much less get out of our comfort zone to do it, or learn a lesson while doing it. Here at Bellarmine, I've done all of that and more, all the way from simply having to do service with children and the elderly, to actually traveling 900 miles to a desert to help those in need, or even to South America playing soccer and interacting and living in solidarity with school children and their families. My service career here at Bellarmine started in freshman year, obviously. Working with children was going to be easy, I thought, and I would just get my hours done before first semester ended, so I could focus on my study on my school during second semester. I did some tutoring at an after school program at my church about twice a week for an hour after school, and I only did that for a few weeks. And I usually just helped a couple of third or second graders with math and grammar homework. I also visited my elementary school a couple of times to help out around the kindergarten classroom and partake in a few activities and games with them. Sometimes I would even go out with the first graders to for their PE class and time their mile times or just run around with them. But the main thing that I took away from this was nothing. I forced my service experience in freshman year to be fairly uneventful and ordinary, just nothing special or nothing to learn from it. But that wasn't the fault of the kids, that was my fault. However, when sophomore year rolled in, there was a new service objective this year, helping the elderly and and the physically or mentally challenged. Again, I set off doing my hours quickly to get rid of that 15-hour requirement. So I started going to a community for the elderly called Atria. It is a community built inside a neighborhood specifically just built for elderly people who have no family or friends to take care of them. There they have nurses and cooks and 24-hour aides who walk down the hallways of their apartment buildings and help them at for anything. At that place, I delivered packages and set up posters around the community, but I also played lots of board games with the residents, celebrated a couple birthdays, and even helped out with broken technology or simply just taught the citizens how to use their laptops or tablets. That's when my mindset about service started really shifting. Now it was about helping and understanding these people that were forced to the margins of society. Later in the year, I visited a center called IPSTP for adults with mental development issues. There we played lots of board games. I even played basketball and watched YouTube videos of trains. I also visited another center for mentally challenged individuals called Hope Services. I started to understand how these people didn't let their disabilities be an obstacle for everyday activities we usually just take for granted in our life. I started to understand what service at Bellarmine was actually about. Then my Bellarmine service journey took a turn when I went on an immersion service trip. I, when I went to Nogales, Arizona, and Nogales, Sonora, in Mexico. A group of 8 guys from Bellarmine paired up with a group of girls from Presentation, and we visited an organization by the name of Kino Border Initiative, which is led by Jesuit Father Pete Neely. Excuse me. The trip was eye opening and heart touching. We learned of the harsh conditions that immigrants face when crossing the border, and the feelings of fear and anxiety, even anger, that they get when they are found or deported from the town they were living in or on the run in the desert. We made them feel at home and listened to their heartwarming stories as we served them food and washed their dishes. We also visited a shelter for deported women who made and sold bracelets and necklaces by hand. My bracelet here is from that shelter. After that, we simulated a walk through the desert to see what the immigrants went through in their travels. That was very hard and it was really hot. On the final day, we visited a community center in downtown Nogales on the Mexican side of the border. At the community center, which is called HEPAC, the people there educated and protected the children of the town who are harshly affected by poverty, crime, and tensions at the border. Whether kids were at school, our group painted the whole playground for them and also planted a small garden. In the evening, they threw a small party for us with food and a piñata. That trip was what truly turned my whole service path around. Now, I felt like I was truly being a man for and with others, and I wanted to continue doing it. That is why this year I had my most recent and an extremely meaningful service experience when I went to my previously mentioned immersion to South America, where I went more specifically to Quito, Ecuador. We stayed at the Centro del Muchacho Trabajador. We spent 10 days interacting with children from ages 4 to 16 at a school built to teach and nurture low income children at the area. We played soccer, volleyball, tag, many things, and we even carried them around and played with them in the playground. But in class, we helped them do their English homework. We even sang "See You Again" for a contest they had. We one day we even joined an older students class for vocational jobs such as sewing. At the sewing class, I met 16-year-olds Estefania and Angel, who had a hard time because of the color of their skin and the poverty they had faced. Angel had even moved from Colombia because of the violence that was there, so he moved from violence and poverty to even more poverty in Ecuador. But at the sewing class with them, we made pillows with designs on it, and they saw how vulnerable we were with needles and how bad we were at it, and they were really good at it. However, and we also visited the homes of the families who are part of the school and who have children there. That experience was truly heartbreaking. One can never imagine a family of 8 living in a 10 by 10-foot space with only one bed and no doors, not even a restroom, just a cement box in a city, really humid with really rotating weathers. That trip really culminated my perspective about community service and how important even little things, even little actions are in the fight against social injustices in this world.